Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Christy Peters from the American Red Cross. You mentioned a while back about this being such a horrific time for fires. You're answering in the Cleveland area about one call for fire a day. Did I hear that right?
Yes, on average, that's what we're responding to.
Well, Christy, do you have any tips for us as far as how to keep our homes safe from fire during this time of year when we seem to be lighting up lights and lighting more candles and so forth?
What's really interesting is, and I guess sad in a way, is one of the main reasons that we see so many fires happening, and unfortunately, even in this past year, so many fatalities related to fires, is because there are no working smoke alarms in individuals' homes. And so that's a huge factor in ensuring that families are safe during this time of year. And through the American Red Cross, we actually work with local fire departments and the community to install fire alarms for free to residents who need them. And so we want to make sure that people are prepared, that they have working smoke alarms, that the batteries are good, that everything is in working order, so that if, God forbid, something does happen, they are prepared and they have a system that's working. And so if you're someone who maybe isn't sure about your fire alarms, or you haven't changed the battery, or not even sure if it has a battery, we would strongly encourage you to call your local American Red Cross chapter. You can always visit redcross.org for information about that. Make a phone call. Just let them know you're not sure and you'd like someone to come out. If you do need a fire or smoke detector, we can install that for you, or we will work with your local fire department to do that for you. And really, that's one of the best ways that we can ensure that the community is prepared and that we can save lives during this time.
Oh, that's wonderful to know. Yes, and we just recently turned the clocks back again, and that always seems to be a good time while you're just doing things and changing things, that seemed to always be a good time to change those batteries in the smoke detector. But if you didn't get that done over that weekend, you can always do it now. Or if you don't have a smoke detector, contact the Red Cross at redcross.org. And did I hear that correctly? You will provide free smoke detectors for families in need?
Yes, we will.
That's
so
awesome.
Again, you just need to visit that website. There's information about the program there. And then, of course, if you have more questions, just give us a call and we'll work with you to see how we can help.
What volunteer opportunities do you have available, Christy?
The American Red Cross depends on volunteers so much. There are just so many people. And that was so obvious. It's always been obvious to us, but even more so during these last few months with all the disasters that happened. So many individuals took time away from their families to go and respond to those disasters that happened, the hurricanes that came through. So one of the ways that you can serve the American Red Cross and volunteer is as a disaster responder. So we will actually put you through training where you learn how to help people who've been affected by a natural disaster like that. We also have people, as I mentioned, who are going out on a regular basis responding to fires. So you can be a disaster action team member who serves here in the local community and goes out to help those affected by a fire, or other just random incidences that might happen where people need support. So there's times where we just go out and provide water or provide food because someone's, been up all night and just needs some assistance. So there's a variety of ways to serve on the disaster side. We're always looking for volunteers who want to help out with our health and safety demonstrations and presentations, so you can become an instructor for those programs. And of course, we're always looking for volunteers at blood drives. So maybe you can't donate blood. For some reason, you're not able to. We absolutely need people who can greet our donors and get registered when they come to the blood drive, who can make sure that everything's running well in the refreshment area and kind of watch over people after they've given to make sure they're feeling okay and that they have a good experience, if they have any questions. We're always looking for people who are willing to host blood drives.
Yes.
So perhaps, you're involved in your local church or your local community center and you're looking for a way perhaps to give back. We always are looking for a space. If you can just open your doors and help us recruit donors, we can come in and set everything up the day of. We'll work with you to make sure you have everything that you need to promote the blood drive. And it'll go a long way in helping us, again, just adding more opportunities for people to give so that we can collect and continue to meet the needs of patients.
Right. You never know when you're going to be that person in need, and it's great to be able to pay it forward now when you can be that person who's giving, and maybe bake a plate of cookies, something like that for a blood drive at your church. Such a good idea. The news is just a weird thing in that there's always a new news day where something else takes the place and the cameras go somewhere else. And the thing that people are going through, they're still going through. And we just, for whatever reasons, we have close connections to family in Houston, family in Naples, and we were recently in Napa. Believe it or not, we were in all three of those places where there were just recently natural disasters.
Right.
And so, yeah, leave it to us. But tell us where we are now with all of that, because the news has moved on. Are things getting back to normal in Houston, do we know? How about in Naples? And again, and particularly Naples and Napa, these are people who are used to being on the giving side, suddenly finding themselves on the in-need side. And can you address that a bit? What's going on now, even though, the news has moved on, but the reality is still there?
So we actually still have American Red Cross volunteers in most of those locations.
Mm-hmm.
So in Texas, we still have people that are helping those that were displaced, just again, get their lives started again, making sure that they have what they need, helping with any way that we can with providing, if they had medical needs, things like that. So
Yes.
we actually still have volunteers on the ground in all of those areas, and those volunteers will probably still be there for a considerable amount of time. And again, at this point, we're not necessarily sheltering people because they are moving back into their homes or they're at least moving to some type of temporary housing. But, we still have mental health volunteers who are there just talking to people and making sure that they're mentally and emotionally doing okay and don't necessarily, sometimes they get so caught up in responding to all the things they have to do and then all of a sudden it hits them what's happened. And so we have people there that are just to give a hug and say, it's going to be okay and we're here to help. And so that's pretty much what's happening still in those areas. I know we are still in Puerto Rico. Obviously, that area continues to struggle. And again, we are working with people. We're driving around providing satellite phones to people who still don't have any type of communication so that they can let other people know that they're okay and that everything's fine. Continuing to work just to provide water. Again, so many people do not have the drinking water that they need, so the American Red Cross is out ensuring that those different communities are getting what they need. So, the work continues every single day. And you're right. I think people think because it's not being covered anymore, it must be okay. And while so many people are recovering and a lot of people are doing better, there's still much work to be done. And the American Red Cross will be there. We'll continue to work with the communities and make sure that they have what they need as long as they need us.
It was awesome to see those local communities pull together. My goodness, I was so impressed with the people, the farmers and people who own vineyards out in Napa, taking part of their proceeds to help the people who lost all of their land get back started again. And so impressed with everything we saw in Naples and Houston by the local communities really just pulling together and being neighborly, basically. Is there still a need for people in our community to travel down to those communities or out to those communities to assist, or are they doing okay with the local volunteers? And then going along with that, should we still be sending bottled water and so forth, and for Puerto Rico as well?
So right now we have our volunteers on the ground, and I think our needs are met in that way. But of course, the American Red Cross, yes, will let people know if the need arises. Of course, the work continues. And the best way, if people want to help, really the best thing that you can do is donate to the Disaster Relief Fund with the American Red Cross, which is a fund that is used for exactly this, responding to natural disasters and the follow-up care that's needed weeks and months later. Of course, if you want to designate to a certain area, you can do that. But you can also give to the general fund. Unfortunately, hopefully hurricane season is over and we're done with all of that.
Yes.
But you never know what's around the corner. And again, just like with the blood supply, it's wonderful to have resources available so that we can respond when it happens and we can be on the ground giving people what they need right then and there.
Okay, this has all been so good, Christy. Let's remind everybody, yes, what we want to make sure is that there's plenty of blood supply. And like you said, and I didn't think about this, in case of really snowy weather or something like that, when people can't get out as well. Let's do it now so that you've got it when people are needing it. Remind us all the details we need to keep in mind as we are going to put on our to-do list to give blood before Christmas.
So we encourage you to come out and donate if you're able in the next couple of weeks before the holidays hit us in full swing. We have a blood donor app that is free that you can download to your smartphone, and it's a great and convenient way to make the whole process faster for you. You can schedule appointments. You can get reminders for when you're eligible to give again. All of your health history information, once you go and donate, will be logged into that app so you can always access it. So it's a great way to just have it in your hand since we're doing everything on our phones now.
Yes.
So I recommend people download that free app. You can always visit the redcrossblood.org website. That's where you can search for blood drives. You can sign up online and make appointments. And the last thing that we have, just as a reminder to people, is we've instituted a new technology called Rapid Pass, which actually allows you to go online the day of your donation and answer your health history questions. So instead of going through that process when you get to the blood drive, you'll actually get a piece of paper or a number on your phone. Our staff will scan that when you come in, and you can save about 15 minutes through the whole process. So we understand that everyone is busy this time of year, and we want to make it as convenient as possible. So the free blood donor app, redcrossblood.org, both ways to get information about all the places you can give and schedule an appointment this holiday season. You know, life is a gift, and we're encouraging everyone to give more of it this time of year.
Mm-hmm. My goodness, you've taken a very simple process and made it even simpler. So we're going to go to the App Store right now and download Red Cross. Okay.
Absolutely. That would be fantastic.
Awesome.
Yes, lots of downloads.
Perfect. Christy Peters, thank you so much for all you're doing in our community.
Thank you so much for having me.